foremost, let's go ahead and pull up a clip of his where he's talking about abortion. And I think that's, again, a hot topic issue that I think he has a very good take on. Maybe not the exact take that I have, but we'll cover that post this clip.
And you can vote me out. Give me 1 second. Say the mother gets pregnant and she knows that if she gives birth, she's going to die. She has some kind of health complication. Then what do you do in that case?
Cesarean section.
I don't know what that means.
It's a C-section. They do an insert.
Guys, wait, hold on. Just give me one second.
They go right below the belly button and they deliver the baby. And after she doesn't have to give birth. It's technically birth, but it's much safer. So that's actually safer than an abortion procedure. Sorry, Lily.
So what I wanted to comment on there is a C-section being safer than abortion is not often looked at as a way to get around abortions being deemed necessary. And I think this is an issue that we've gotten into society where, again, it's almost an extreme where, well, I already have the kid, so do I have to bring it to term, or do I kill it? And I think, the real answer is you don't have reproductive sex. And I think that's the whole misconception of my body, my choice. And I think we can all agree on what I've always heard growing up, where if you're a pregnant woman, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. You're not supposed to smoke cigarettes, right? Because there's another life inside of you. It's not you're just affecting your life. You're going to affect the development of that child while it's in you, as well as, the 18 plus years, afterwards that, at least legally speaking, for those first 18 years, you're responsible for. Now, again, who's to say that you can't put the child up for adoption, put it into foster care? And that's another case that is often argued, well, this baby is not going to have a good life, so therefore let me just give it no life whatsoever. And that was another point that was brought up by Charlie that I've, not always been in the case of making abortion. I personally don't necessarily think abortion should be illegal, but I wouldn't be opposed to it being illegal. And I don't think we should be promoting abortion as a form of birth control, as a lot of people seem to think it is. And, just as hey, I made a shitty decision and now let me go take a life as a result of me making a shitty decision. And again, Charlie Kirk kind of framed that up well as, one thing that kind of separates us, or at least idealistically so, here in America, or you can even say in the West, is after you make a poor decision or an evil decision, if you will, you don't double down making another evil decision. You make a better decision. And so let's go ahead to that next clip. Might jump back a little bit, but this still goes hand in hand for another reason why abortion should be illegal, or at least not be the option or decision that's chosen should you have reproductive sex and want to, find out what you're going to do with that kid.
Any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do think that a couple cases it is legal?
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs,
okay,
that is the only case where abortion should be allowed.
Do you think there should...
But people say it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay, so if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped and she was going to give birth and she would and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So
at first I was like, no way. But thinking about it, I think Charlie Kirk is absolutely morally right here that I don't think it should be made illegal to abort that child in the case of rape, right? And I think rape, incest, and life of the mother, given I would need to look more into this, I would have to agree with Charlie Kirk that a C-section in probably almost every case is going to be safer than getting an abortion. And again, you're going to bring the life to term and allow that baby to, develop into a human being that could go on to do God knows what, that wouldn't otherwise have that opportunity should you make the decision on that person's behalf, taking away their rights. So I think as tough of a subject as it is, I think Charlie Kirk brings up a lot of valid points here. And again, not that, anyone else should have the ability to impart their sense of morality on someone else. I hope we could all, come to an agreement that a baby, or, a fetus, which is, essentially Latin for baby, it is just as for lack of a better way to frame it, like just as a guaranteed to have rights, even if they were, from this like worst case scenario of a mother raped by a guy, or a woman or young girl in this case raped by a guy, and that child, what now all of a sudden doesn't get a life because of, a decision that this awful guy made, I think, yeah, that's up to you as a family, to make that decision whether or not you want to bring that kid to being. But that was a very powerful statement that Charlie Kirk made in my eyes, that, again, easier to say that when it's not the actual case. But if that were true, and I have no reason to not believe him, I think that is a